Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's say you just got your new frame in, like I did, and you need some 3D printed arm bumpers for it. So you go, I'll go search on Thingiverse. You pull up Thingiverse, you go searching, and you find nothing, or you don't find anything that you like. What are you going to do? Well, if you're like me before, you would just be like, oh well, I'll just suffer through it, and then your arms end up looking like that. Look at that mess. Look at that mess. You get torn all the bits. Or you could be like Stacy of today. Design your own bumpers. And then you're good. So if you guys want to find out how to design your own and get those 3D printed, stick around, I'm going to show you. Okay, so you decided to design your own 3D bumpers. What do you need to do this? Okay, we need a couple things. You're going to need a cup or something similar because you're going to want to set your camera up high on something. You'll see why here in a minute. You're going to need something else to set your arm on, a little bit lower. Don't you love this broken GoPro camera? Or something similar. You'll see here in a minute what I need. You're going to want to get a white piece of paper. And of course, you're going to need the arm or arms if your arms are different. In my case, they're all the same, they're just flipped over. But if your arms are different for one side or the other, or for front or back or something, you're going to want to get an example of each one of those. And of course, you're going to need your camera. Okay, so you're going to ask, how are we going to do this? So what you want to do is you want to take your cup here, sit your cup down on your paper here. And the reason we need this is we need something to set the camera on up high here. And then we're going to want to get our arm, and we're going to want to sit it down. We want to raise it up too, and you'll see why here in a second. We want to put our arm on the paper. And you're asked, why do we need the paper? Well, we want the paper so that we don't have anything in the background. It'll make it much easier to do this whenever we put this into our design program. And the reason we want the camera is we want to raise this up, and you can see now I can see the holes through here because we want to be able to see where those holes are, because we're going to need those holes and I want those to be in the exact right position. Okay, so let's get this set up here and I'll kind of show you. And my lighting is terrible. You want this to be in a case where you don't get a lot of shadows, but if you have shadows, it'll work out okay. You'll just have a little more difficulty. If you can get away with not having shadows, having light straight down on top of it, it'll work better. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your arm here on something raised up there, right? And then we're going to want to set our cup here, this, and then we want to set our camera on this here, and we're going to want to take a picture of it. So let me show you what that looks like on the camera app. Alright, so when you're all set up, you're going to have something like this. You've got your arm kind of raised up here, sitting on this other, in this case a GoPro, but something to raise it up. And then something a bit higher here. You've got a cup, in this case. And then I got my phone sitting on it. I got the camera facing straight down. You can see here, when you take the picture, you're going to be able to see those holes nice and perfect, just like that. And you're going to want this thing as straight down over top of this as you can get it. And you're going to take your picture, and then we're going to take the picture and we're going to pull it in to a program, and we're going to do a little cleanup on it. Now I'm not going to show you this picture here because this is my son's phone. I've already got the picture from mine. I'm going to show you the picture that I took, and we're going to walk through the steps with mine. You're going to see exactly how that works. Is the image that I ended up taking. As you can see, here's the arm sitting on top of the GoPro, and here's the base of the cup, just like I was describing, sitting on a white piece of paper. And it looks like we have a pretty good image. There's nice clean edges here on the edge of the arm, and the holes, everything looks nice and clean, and we don't see too many shadows. There is a little bit of warping here in this because of the angle. The camera probably needed to be forward just a little bit more. It's pretty close where the arm needed to be down this way just a little bit, but other than that it's pretty good. So all of this is good, but I don't want to have this camera here. I don't need the cup. I want to eliminate as much of this surrounding stuff, and I only really need to about right in here for the arm bumper. So what I did was I took this image and then I cropped it down, and I will show you that. There it is, nice and cropped down. You can see it a little closer here. You can see this warping really isn't warping. You're just seeing the inside edge of the arm holes here. You can see the thickness on the arms there. So if this was a little more straight down, you wouldn't see that, or you would see it a little bit less. Again, this is minor and really won't affect this too much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this image here. After I convert it to SVG, I'm going to pull this image into InkScape. I'm going to clean these holes up just a little bit because they will be warped just slightly, and I'm going to get rid of this center here because I don't want this in my arm bumper. If you wanted to leave this in your arm bumper, you could do that. But I'm going to take this out of mine because I don't want dirt and stuff to get up in there. So that's a piece I'm going to take out, give it a little more strength as well. Anyways, let's get into online convert and convert this image over, and then we will do a little bit of cleanup, and then we will pull this into Thingiverse. Or with onlineconvert.com, and we're going to convert our image to SVG. So all we need to do is take our image that we took a picture here, and we're going to drag this up into here. It's going to load this, give it a few seconds here. 100%, it's got it. There are settings that you can change depending on what you want to do. Honestly, I've not used any settings, so I don't know what they do, what they don't do. But if you have a fairly clean image like we do with a white background and your black carbon arm, you really shouldn't need to change any of these settings, and it should work pretty well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click Start. It's going to process this image. You'll see it processing here, and then when it's finished, we have the option to download, but I think it automatically starts downloading whenever it gets finished, and there it goes, and it did. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this image here that we just created, and we're going to open it in InkScape, and we're going to do a little bit of cleanup on that image, and I'm going to show you that now. Opened in InkScape, and as you can see, it's fairly clean. We've got nice clean lines going all along the edges here, and you can see, like I was telling you about the holes there, because of the way that the angle was there, and you could see the inside edge of the arm, that kind of causes this to have a slight warping. Now, you don't really have to do any cleanup on this if you don't want to, so you could skip this step, and it would save you a little bit of time and energy. But I like to be a little bit more thorough, and I just want to kind of clean these up. So what I'm going to do is I want to fill this in. I'm going to use the circle tool, and I'm going to kind of smooth out these edges here so that everything looks pretty good. And then what I want to do is I'm going to export out just this part here to PNG, and that'll get me my nice clean circles here. This will be filled in, and the size will have just to the edges here, which will be important when we pull this into TinkerCad. But I've got to export this out as PNG, and I've got to run that cleaned up image back through Online Convert to get me an SVG again, and then we can pull that resulting clean image into TinkerCad and begin the process. So let me show you what I mean by using the circle tool. So I'm going to select the circle tool here, and you can see right now it's got a fill of black, it's got a stroke of black. I want my fill to be white, so I'm going to click here. That'll make the fill white, and then the stroke is black. And then I'm going to draw my circle, and you can use the Control and Shift, I believe, to keep the circle uniform. So let's kind of draw our circle here, start drawing it, and then we'll just, there it is. Now it's nice and uniform. We get the size about right. It's about right. And then we're going to move this image here in, and then I'll probably tweak the size a little bit. But that's kind of want to show you what this looks like, and then how I would export this out and pull it in again. So let's get this just slightly off. Let's resize that just a little bit. That's probably pretty good. Down just a slight little bit here, maybe. There we go. Yep, that looks pretty good. And I think we can just like copy this, paste it. There we go. We'll use that. Oh, no. I must have grabbed that by accident. Hang on, edit, remove. I don't want to grab that. I want to grab this circle. There we go. And we're going to drag this circle over here. Right in place. There we go. And we'll paste that again. Got another one here. I'm going to pull this. Oh, I did it again. I don't know how I'm doing that. Anyways, select this guy. Got him selected. Pull him down here. Okay, this is starting to get on my nerves, guys. Undo move. Okay, I do not know what is going on here with this. Why is it being... Let's try this. Let's try moving it with the keyboard. Ah, there we go. That's better. So let's get it down in there. With the keyboard. I'm using Shift and the arrow keys, by the way. There we go. Now let's paste another one. And we're going to use the keyboard and move it down here. Get close. Move this all the way down. There we go. Get those guys. Now I want to choose the fill tool, which is this bucket here. And we want to make sure that our fill is black. Okay, got that. We want to fill this in. Okay, we have all of this done here. Now what I want to do is I want to select all of this here, drag and select this stuff. Okay, I got everything selected, and now I've got my selection here, and I've got where I'm going to export this here out, and I'm going to change this position here, put it in download, and let's just call this moxie1.png. That's where we want to export it. If I didn't actually export it, that's just where I'm going to export it. Now you've got to actually click the export button. And we are on selection, and this is what we have selected. So hit export, and this will export out our PNG, and we will go pull this PNG up in Online Convert, and then run that through the process, and then we can pull that resulting image into TinkerCAD and do our designing. Here we are with Online Convert again, and I'm going to show you what our resulting image look like. Let me pull this open here, and you can see our image cropped nice right on those edges. Our pieces filled in, and you can see these circles are nice and perfect, and they are basically the same size that they were before, but they are nice and round like they should be, which is what we want. So we're going to take this image here, and we're going to pull this into our Online Convert and convert this to SVG. So we've got it there. We click Start. We're not going to change anything. It's going to do its processing again, just like before, and it should auto-download once again. There it goes, moxie1.svg. And I will show you what that resulting image looks like. Boom, there we go. And you can see nice, clean SVG image, huge on this, I know. It doesn't let me size it back down, but you can see just how clean this image is. Looks very good. So now we're going to take this SVG image and we're going to pull this into TinkerCAD, and we're going to do our designing for our arm bumper. Here we are in TinkerCAD, and we are going to import our SVG, and then we're going to do some designing with that. So the first thing that we need to do is go up here where it says import, and we're going to click import. Maybe. There we go. And we're going to choose the file that we just created. In our case, this is moxie1.svg. We're going to take this file, we're going to drop this up here, and the first thing it's going to do is going to complain. It's going to say, hey, this image is too big. It's going to be bigger than the workspace. We can't work with that. So we need to resize this to something that is workable. And you can put any numbers you want here, but we know that we want to get this thing to be the correct size. Now I earlier pulled up my arm and I pulled up my little measuring tool that I have, and I measured that. I'm going to show you that here, and you can see that it is 30 millimeters across from this edge to this edge. At the widest point is 30 millimeters. So this direction here going vertically is length. This right here is width. And because I measured this right here and I know that that's 30 millimeters, I'm going to come down here to length and I'm going to put in 30. And it's already in millimeter mode. So change that to 30, and it's going to give me the other dimension, which is 42.55, and that's fine. I don't really know what that should be, but if this is 30, which it is, then this will be correct for this length here. And we're going to click Import. This is going to pull our image in, and we will have an object in TinkerCad that we can work with. So I have to zoom this in, and you can see this a little bit, just to kind of show you what this looks like, and then we're going to work with it. So you can see we got our holes there, nice, exactly what we want. Everything looks good. This is what the end of the arm looks like. Now, if you click this, you can see this is our size here. It's 29.99, 30 millimeters. I don't know why it's 1/100th of a millimeter short, but that's fine. 30 millimeters that way, and we see we're 42.55 millimeters that way, and right now this thing is like 10 millimeters thick. We're going to change that in a little bit, and we're going to get to that. So the first thing that we want to do whenever we have this in here is we're going to have to create a couple of different pieces. And we're going to use those pieces and we're going to put them all back together to make the arm bumper. Okay, this is Stacy from the future. You'll notice that the screen looks a little different than it previously did. The reason for that is I recorded this and found a better way of doing it just this morning. So I wanted to redo this with a simpler way, a better way, and share that with you instead. So we have our image imported. What we need to do with this is we need to create a couple of pieces. We're going to have the bottom piece. We're going to have the side piece, which is like however thick your arm is. In my case, my arms are 5 millimeters thick. So that will be 5 millimeters plus the size of the bottom, which is 2 millimeters. And then there will be an overlap piece that kind of fills in, comes over this part here, comes around, and allows that bumper to wrap around the top part of the arm. And so that part of the thickness there, it'll be 2 millimeters thick, and it'll be in like 2 millimeters on either side there. And so it'll wrap over top of the arm 2 millimeters. So we're going to create those pieces, and then we're going to combine them, and then we're just going to chop off the bottom because it'll be solid all the way around, and there will be the bumper. And it's a very, very simple process to do. So the first thing that we do is we're going to duplicate this. So we're going to create this, we'll click this, and we're going to click the duplicate button. That should duplicate it. Now we're going to move it, and I'm going to do it with the keyboard, so it's like Shift and the arrow keys to the left here. All right. So that's that first piece that I want to do. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make this a silhouette here, and that fills this in. That makes it the same thing, but it fills it in, and then that'll make it solid. And then you have outer line, which makes whatever size you feel, it makes it go from this edge out by that much. And then there's inner line, which goes from this edge and goes in. So in our case, we want to make the edges here, and those edges will be an outer line. Takes it a second here. There it is. And it's got it as 5. I don't want 5. I want to make this 2. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to make the corners kind of rounded. That just kind of smooths things out a little bit, makes it a little bit better, right? So that gets us our side. Now the next thing that we need to do with the side, though, is we need to make it the right thickness. Now our bottom of our bumper is going to be 2 millimeters. My thickness of my arm is 5 millimeters. So that's 7 millimeters. And then I want to come up 2 more millimeters for the top, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it 9. And the only reason I'm doing that is just to make this thing have some overlap with the different pieces so they merge nicely. So I'm going to click this middle piece here. I'm going to set this to 9. Click off, now it's 9. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to duplicate this again. So click this. And now this time I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to move to the right. Not quite that much. Right. Now this one here needs to be, it's going to be this top piece. And it's going to have that, so I'm going to make this one inner line. And again, it defaults to 5, but I only want it to be 2. So 2, I'm going to come in 2 millimeters. And again, once it gets done here, I want to make this round. Okay. Give it a second here. It's thinking about it. There it goes. Now we've got that. Now this is going to be for the top. This only needs to be 2 millimeters. So there we've got that. Now I want to do one more piece and then we're going to combine all this. I want to duplicate this piece here and I want to raise it up. So I want this like this, and then I want to have a piece on the top. And the reason that I want to have this on the bottom and on the top is I want to have a little bit of an overlap between this and this so that it kind of fills in that gap, right? So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this, and that'll be our top piece. And then I want to adjust this inner on this one to be just slightly thicker so that when we put it all together, it overlaps nicely. So I'm going to hit the duplicate button up here. And I think it duplicated it off the screen a little bit. Yep, it did. For some reason, it does that. When you like move it and duplicate, it'll like do the exact same mechanism. So if you do it and you don't see it look like that it's selected, then it probably created it off the edge there. So I've got this. This will be our top one. And this will be our bottom one. And I want to adjust this line width here. I want to make this like 3. And that'll bring this in just a little bit more than the inside of this, which was 2, right? So we combine it. Now we've got our top, and we've got this, we've got our bottom, and we've got this here. And we're going to combine all of these pieces together, and we're going to make it. The one thing that we need to do here, though, before we combine them, you can see they're all, let me show you this here, if I look at it this way here, you can see they're all flat on the plane. Well, this top piece obviously doesn't need to be here, it needs to be raised up, and our centerpiece with the holes is obviously too thick, so we need to do 2 things. We're going to adjust the thickness here to our 2 millimeters. So I click the middle there, click 2, that makes it 2 millimeters thick. And now this one here, we need to raise up. Let me zoom this out so you can see this a little bit, because what will happen when I zoom this, I'm going to grab this little arrow, I'm going to drag it, and you can notice on the far right there, you can just see it. Raising up, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. That's, if I can get it to 7, there we go. You can also click on it and adjust it that way too. So we've got it 7 millimeters up. That's our 2 millimeters here, plus our 5, and then that gives us 7 millimeters. That's where this will be. And we're going to combine all of these pieces here into one and line them up, and then we'll chop off the excess that we don't need, and we will have our arm bumper. Right. So all we have to do is we're just going to take this, click it, we're going to drag it over here to somewhere close to it. We're going to take this, we're going to drag it over here, somewhere close to it. Again, this doesn't have to be precise, and we'll see why in a minute. And then we're going to take this piece here, we're going to drag it over and get it somewhere close to it. Now we've got all of our pieces here. Now we're going to drag the box around all of this, so we select everything at one time. We're going to click the Align tool. It's going to draw these little dots here, and what we want is we want this bottom one here in the middle. That's going to align left and right, and then we want this one right here on the middle on the side. That's our front to back. Right now everything is aligned. We're going to now combine all of these guys. I got everything right. Oh, I messed one thing up. I didn't raise that one. I didn't raise my one piece up enough here. Hang on. It needs to be raised up a little bit more. Hang on. They're still all selected. Now I'm going to hit the uncroup. I'm going to select this inner piece here. That's our inner, our round. And I want to raise it up. On the top there. 9. There we go. All right, top of it's at 9. And if you hear my dog in the background, I apologize. Got my dog to calm down. Maybe. All right, we're going to reselect everything. And we're going to group them all together again. Give it a second here for it to group them all together. Boom, we've got a nice solid object. Oh, we don't. Look at this. Do you see this little edge on this line here? On our piece. This is our top lip piece here. And if we look on the bottom, we've got the same issue. Yep, to the bottom, you see this little lip piece here. Little edge. All right, so let me show you how to fix that problem here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these guys. And this happens from time to time because this thing is not precise as you would like it to be. We're going to ungroup these guys. I'm going to grab this, if I can grab this one here, yeah, enter. I'm going to move this guy over here and move on shift in the air here, the top one. And then I want to grab the bottom one as well. That one. One. Bottom one's a little trickier. The outer line. Let's see. Maybe just do them all. Yeah, let's move these guys all individually here real quick. Make it easier. And it's the stuff that happens. There we go. Nothing to worry about. It's kind of why I like to show you these mistakes. Okay, so these two pieces here, we need to make a slight adjustment because the edges are basically the same as these edges here, but we need just a little bit of overlap because even though they should be the same, there's slight imperfections in the mathematics. So what we want to do is we want to slightly adjust the size of this guy. We want to make him slightly this way bigger and slightly this way bigger, and the same thing for this. We're going to adjust it by about 0.5 millimeter. It won't affect anything other than just making this slightly bigger because this mainly is just for overlap. So we select it, we click our corner, and you see it's 29.99. We're going to make this, and it's 42.55. We're going to make this 30.5, and we're going to make this 43. And we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to click this one. We're going to make this one 30.5 and 43. Now we got 30.5 and 43 and 30.5 and 43. Now when we take all of these pieces here, we drag this guy up, we drag this guy over, we drag this guy over, and you see they're way off from where they should be to be aligned, but that's fine because we're going to use our align tool. We click the alignment tool. Again, we want the center here, and then we want the center here. Now we're going to select all of them. And we're going to combine them, and this should fix that problem. It should be nice and solid. Did it make it nice and solid or not? Looks like it's not. Oh, I've got something off on there. Haha, that's what's wrong. See the edge there? That's why it doesn't look like it's solid. This guy is off a little bit. I must have moved something more. All right, so let's do zoom out. Now I like to show you all these little imperfections and these mess ups so that when you're doing it, you understand how to fix it and it's not difficult to do and you don't need to panic. So really, I'm not doing that for that reason, but it is a good exercise to show you how easy it is to mess something up and not get it right. So we're going to select everything. We're going to ungroup it. Again, it's not a problem. We're just going to select this guy here. Now this guy is up a little bit too high, right? We need to move him down. And it looks like he is, not sure why. Let's make sure his thickness is right. His thickness is not what it should be. Let's switch on to, there we go. Now it's moving down. Okay. There we go. Now, if we combine these guys, should be good. There we go. Now you can see we've got a nice solid object. So if you see something like that, don't panic. It's easy enough to fix. Now you can see I've got this guy kind of off whack over here. It's a little hard to follow. What we can do now is we can hit this tool here, and this is going to fit the view. And boom, look at that. Now you can see it nice and close. So if we go on the bottom here, you can see nice and solid. There's no little lines anywhere around through here. Everything is a nice solid object, which is what we want. Now the only thing that we have left to do is we don't want this to be solid here because we wouldn't be able to put it on the arm. We need a slot there for the arm to fit through. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the box tool, but it's a hole. See, it looks like it's see-through sort of. We're going to drag this guy out here, and we're going to drag this guy over here, and we're going to chop off some of this. So I'm going to drag him over about where I want him. Now let me click off and refit this to the view. Now we can see everything. Click back on this box. You see these little black lines here, little black boxes? You can grab those and that'll move the side. You don't have to adjust the corner, so we'll make it a little bit wider because we want to make sure we chop exactly what we need. There. Now let me look at the top. You can just click top here, top view. And I want to move this guy down just a little bit because I don't want to chop too much of this off. I want to get just enough to get the edge of this right here chopped off. I think that I've got it there, but I want to move it up a little bit more. I don't want this much in. I like to be somewhere in the middle. So one other thing that you can do is you can adjust your snap down here. You have a 1mm snap, which is removing 1 millimeter at a time. You can adjust that. You can make it bigger or smaller. I want to move it 0.5 millimeter. Now, so when I move it up, I'm going to move it up 0.5 millimeter. That'll be perfect. Now I'm going to drag a box around these guys, select both of them. I'm going to group them, and that should apply a hole right here. Give it just a second. There it is. Now what we're going to do is I want to adjust my view. See this, when you highlight this here, you've got top, and then this is like top and the side here. Click that. Boom. There we go. And there is our arm bumper. The only thing that we have left to do now is just export this out as STL and send this off to someone to print, or if you know how to do printing, you probably already know how to do all of this other stuff, which I don't know. There's some setup in the printers and whatnot for these to do, and I don't know anything about that. I always send my prints off to Brain 3D, and he prints those for me and does a fabulous job. I highly recommend him. So we take our object here now. We're just going to export this out. We click export. We want to do everything in the design because we only have the one object. If you had multiple objects, you can select a particular object that you want to do, and you can just do one thing. And we're going to do STL, and it's going to export it out, and we are done. That is all that there is to this. One other thing that you might want to do is you'll notice TinkerCad comes up with these weird names. In this case, it's Exquisite Kirkan. You can click this, and then you can type in whatever you want. If I said Moxie Arm Bumper example, for instance. And then when I export this, it's going to use that name, STL. And you will see down here, when it exports it out, eventually, maybe, There it goes. We have Moxie Arm Bumper Example STL. And that is all there is to designing an arm bumper. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will do my best to answer it. I am a newbie at this, but I thought that I would share my experience and what I have learned. So hopefully you guys can go out there and design your arm bumpers so that, protect your drones so they don't break so easily. You guys have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video.